Hello, welcome to One India News. You're watching Global Chit Chat, our weekly show where we discuss the top developments in the geopolitical space with our guest and expert, Mr. Tridivesh Singh Maini. Hello, sir. Welcome back to our show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, let's just jump right into it. As we know, in our neighboring country, Pakistan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, is slated to address the nation today, and it is an unstable situation in the Pakistani government right now. Because there is to be a debate on the no motion confidence or the no confidence motion that is being put up against the Pakistan Prime Minister. And there are also reports that said that officials of the opposition in Pakistan government suggested that the relations with India and Pakistan, obviously, it can improve with Imran Khan out of the picture. So what do you think this debate is going to hold for India as well as Pakistan both?
See, so what is happening right now in Pakistan, there has been a build up to this. So, the opposition probably tried to capitalize on some of the economic challenges, say, because Imran Khan had made a lot of promises. And obviously, because of the COVID-19 pandemic and because of other issues, he's not been able to live up to many of them. Though, I mean, some would argue that his handling, for instance, of the COVID-19 pandemic, he did a reasonably good job in the sense that there were not too many lockdowns and the economic damage caused by COVID was not too much. But otherwise, there have been, if you look at inflation, if you look at the state of the foreign exchange reserves and all, and obviously he inherited this mess, but somehow, whether it is domestic reasons or whether it is even some of the foreign policy stands which you've taken, that haven't helped him in the economic sense as such. Now, there have been differences, first of all, within his own party. And, there are some floating individuals and political outfits, like in every other country, who have obviously been keeping a close watch. So, obviously, for instance, one of the allies, MQMP, that had sort of walked out of the alliance. And I don't think the numbers, as of now, if you look at the numbers, they're not really in Imran Khan's favor. A lot of people would argue that, the anti-Western stance which he has taken, that has not gone down well with the army. Because they have obviously, the West has also sort of warned them that, that because Imran Khan was in Russia during when this, actually when the Russian invasion of Ukraine took place. Even otherwise, he's issued statements which are quite anti-West. And what he has done is he has linked opposition leaders in Pakistan with the West, that they have been soft on the West because of personal interest. And then there is also some letter floating around which suggests that there was some conspiracy to sort of vote him out. So I think it's one is you can look at the foreign policy angle is important apart from the domestic challenges. And also there were differences, the province of Punjab is very important in Pakistan, that is bellwether. So there was also people who are not happy with his choice for chief minister, including, again, like I said, some of the outfits which are floating. So one of them is called the King's Party, that is PMLQ, which consists of Chaudhry Parvez Elahi. Likely, he was speaker also, and he has been chief minister of Pakistani Punjab in the past. And I think he's probably one of the names which is being suggested. And then you have Chaudhry Shujat Hussain, also who's part of that part. He has been prime minister also of Pakistan in the past during the Musharraf era. So there are these outfits which indicate, the sign of things to come. So now, of course, technically they had PMLQ first was ready to join the opposition coalition. Then it said, no, if our conditions are met, we'll stay. But these were indicators that all was not well. Then, of course, as I said, the MQMP, they moved on. So there are domestic layers to it, but obviously the foreign policy part has also, many people would argue, I don't think that the West has really orchestrated it or anything else, but maybe there are sections within the establishment which felt that this sort of approach towards the West will not benefit Pakistan in any way. I think as for the relationship, obviously there have been tensions, but the tensions between India and Pakistan began in 2016 when Nawaz Sharif was prime minister. And then in fact, over the last few months, there have been some encouraging measures, even during his, and I don't think as far as economic linkages and all were concerned, he really opposed them or people-to-people contacts. But then the India policy is not dictated, is not really run by the civilian government. That there are other, so it all depends upon them. Now, some people, some analysts would argue that there is some slight change of heart due to the economic conditions over there. But I don't think even any other, I mean, if the other traditional political parties would oppose economic linkages or would be in favor of increasing tensions, given the economic challenges which Pakistan is facing at this point of time. And also there's a realization that they cannot only depend upon China. And that is one of the reasons why the anti-Western statements, anti-EU, even anti-US has not gone down well with certain quarters.
Right. And speaking about economic crisis in our neighboring countries, China again is suffering a major loss. And amid the renewed COVID outbreak, basically in China, activity in countries, the service sectors and factories, it has taken a hit. And also, like you said, the purchasing manufacturing index has also, so I think it has gone down. So what effects do you think that this economic crisis in China may have globally or within the country itself?
So I think, as we were discussing earlier, also the figures which have come out, the official manufacturing purchasing managers index fell to 49.5 in March from 50.2 in February. And the non-manufacturing purchasing managers index PMI, that was reduced to 48.4 in March from 51.6 in February. Now, this is again, this is there are numerous reasons for this. The immediate reason is, of course, now the lockdowns, the stringent approach followed towards COVID-19 has been one of the key reasons for this. But otherwise, like we've discussed in earlier weeks, it's the Xi Jinping's economic policies vis-a-vis real estate, some of his policies with regard to the environment. So what that has done is reduction of production of coal. So that also, so all these things, these measures, which were actually meant to check the growing inequalities, have also probably backfired. And there probably, I think there was no, the way, in the months of January, February, if you look at, and now obviously the COVID outbreak in China over the past few days and all, and the restrictions imposed, I think nobody thought that, it would reach this level and you would need these sorts of restrictions. So I think COVID has been, already there were enough problems, but COVID has been a further disruption. But there's a realization that, now you need to check the slowdown. And I think in the Chinese premier, in one of his addresses to the media interactions, I think, and even to the party itself, in March, he had said that, we revised our growth estimates. So earlier, the growth estimate set was 6%, they've reduced it to 5.5%. Now, in the light of all these other challenges, it remains to be seen how, how will they sort of boost certain sectors? How will they ensure that they're not hit by these disruptions? And there's also, I think, even you will see changes even in the foreign policy. That is why if you look at China's approach towards the Ukraine crisis, while supporting Russia, it realizes that it cannot go all out against EU and all because of the close economic relationship. So China will also have to rethink its foreign policy and ensure that it is in sync with its economic goals. And as I said, that it probably misread, so you can control these controlled sort of disruptions, or you believe you can manage them, but sometimes you have something like COVID-19, which is unforeseen, and that really creates further problems. And I think there's also a division within the Communist Party. And now, obviously, when Xi Jinping realizes that the slowdown is a major challenge, but earlier probably he didn't take the slowdown that seriously. He looked at it as a course correction. It was other officials who have been speaking, continuously flagging the point that we cannot afford this sort of slowdown, economic slowdown. So I think what is going to happen is, one, the trajectory of COVID-19, the lockdowns imposed by COVID-19 and its impact, that is something which you need to keep a close watch on. And it would also be interesting to see how China now sort of rethinks its foreign policy, its ties with the neighbors. There
Hmm.
have been hints that even within South Asia, for instance, it wants to focus more on
Hmm.
economics. So, for instance, when the foreign minister visited
Hmm.
Afghanistan, he spoke about extending CPEC till there. During his
Right.
visit to India, also,
Hmm.
he spoke about the fact that we're not threats to each other. And
Hmm.
last year, also, after there was some sort of thaw, there was
Hmm.
talk that India may be looking at some of the FDI proposals of China. But
Hmm.
as of now, I don't think that will really go ahead. But I think the Chinese foreign policy will adjust itself to
Yeah.
the current
Right.
economic.
Right. Right. And next we come to the Iran nuclear deal, of course. So the US has imposed sanctions on several entities that it has claimed that are involved in obtaining supplies for Iran's ballistic missile program, right? So now this comes as the US and Iran both are in negotiations to retrieve the 2015 nuclear deal, or the JCPOA, sorry, or the JCPOA. And so what do you think that the US's sanctions or this move of USA will mean for the negotiations?
So I think the US also needs to. The US has shown keenness over the past couple of weeks with regard to the JCPOA because of the likely there are first the rise in oil prices, and obviously realized that they needed to make up for the oil shortages which are going to be caused by the ban on Russian oil and gas and everything. So one option was that we saw that they arrive at a nuclear agreement at the earliest, so that Iran can start digging more oil and then probably provide oil to countries.
Mm,
And then obviously US was even looking at Venezuela as well.
mm,
So some restrictions are being removed. Uh, so that is one part of it. But it also the US also needs to strike a balance. It doesn't need it would probably not want to send out a message that it is appeasing Iran, because Israel, the Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE, they have been saying that of late the US has been. It's not, if you look at the Iran nuclear deal, that the US has been going uh, has been rather aggressive, but Iran,
mm,
on the other hand, is unlikely to fulfill the conditions of the
mm,
2015
mm,
nuclear deal. Now, two things. One is a recent attack in Iraq, and then the sort of activities also of the Houthis, in the Gulf. Now, these are problems, and they have been flagged. And I may also add that apart from Israel or the Gulf countries, there are certain uh, lobbies within the US. So, for instance, within the Republicans, there are certain individuals who have been saying that uh, that the US is offending the Gulf countries, its old allies in the Gulf, by going ahead with this Iran nuclear deal. So I think these sanctions, they're targeted. They are obviously meant to send out a message that that while on the one hand they don't want to push Iran to the wall, but if Iran actually goes ahead with this ballistic missile program and everything else, the US will naturally keep a close watch on that. And the sanctions have been targeted against individuals and certain companies. And also,
mm,
but the key, I think, messaging from this is that yes, we are willing, we are open to the deal, but at the
mm,
same time, we won't, just because there are certain constraints and these oil shortages and everything else, we are not going to just give a free run to Iran.
mm,
So I think this sends
mm,
a messages. This sends a message to some of the Gulf countries and to some extent Israel also, that
mm,
the US is not. It wants to keep some sort of check on Iran while engaging it. So I think it
right,
was a fine. It was needed given the
mm,
geopolitical situation in the Middle East, but it's
right,
also balancing act from the administration. Because,
right,
as I said, over the past few weeks, there was some analysts who were arguing that it's gone to one end of this pendulum,
mm,
that by trying to
mm,
appease Iran, and also they're probably trying to check
right,
to dispel that notion about Biden being willing to appease Iran and so on. And so forth.
right, right. Okay. So thank you for all your inputs today, sir. Please watch Global Chit Chat again on next week and catch us again on One India News. Thank you so much for watching.